Hello, Eagles fans, and welcome to the first episode of Conversation and Coffee with Coaches. I'm Karen Angell, Assistant AD of Communications for American University, and I'm joined today by two Hall of Fame coaches at AU. We've got Barry Goldberg of volleyball and Steve Jennings of field hockey, and I want to thank you both so much for taking time to chat today. People watching probably know that the Patriot League postponed fall sports with the hope of playing in the spring, and that American University classes are currently being held online this semester. Athletics is working with the university to safely resume on-campus training this semester, but that's not the case right now. So if you both can give us a brief update on where your programs stand and what the focus is right now. We'll start with Barry.
Well, first of all, the main focus, I'm confident, around the whole country is certainly similar to here. We want everybody to be safe and healthy, making sure that they're in a good position to be able to do the things that they want to do in a good way, a safe way, making sure that everyone, all of our players, all of our staff, and just everyone that's involved in our program has a good, positive way to be able to do the things that they want to do without jeopardizing any of the possibilities of, some of the COVID problems that have popped up in the country.
Yeah, and for us too, I think that there's a challenge not only in the physical health, but the mental health of our student athletes. So we're just trying to keep everybody together and keep them as positive as we can, hear their concerns, help them work through any stressors that they're having. We don't have everybody back in DC, but we do have a number. So we're just trying to have as many meetings online with Zoom as we can at a reasonable, and then make sure they're making their transition back to their online class as well. And then hopefully they're able to stay in shape as much as possible. So we'll have the opportunity, we hope, to be able to train at some point in the not too distant future, which I think will be a big stress reliever for them too.
Great. Can you tell me what's getting you both through these extremely challenging times over the last 6 months?
I think on my end, knowing my players are here, a lot of them are here. I think that shows a lot, just to have them show up when this is an environment right now where, I'm sure around the country, schools even around the world even are deciding, do I go back to school and do I participate and try to continue my education and keep taking the steps toward potential graduation. And I think that's what's mostly motivating to me, that so many of our players actually came from many different places around the country and the world just to be here and partake in what they don't even know is going to happen yet. As we continue to figure out what's our next steps here. So I think that's the biggest motivation for us, that everyone's back and they're happy to be here. Certainly question marks continue, but they're happy to be together, and they're in good, healthy places, and we want to hope that continues to happen.
Yeah, for me, I think on a personal level, I've just been trying to stay in the moment as much as possible and have a little bit of a goal or a vision, a plan about what I'd like to do. And I'm trying to always find silver linings. So I'm hunting for those all the time and trying to celebrate special moments, special occasions, and then staying grateful. So I think all those things combined help me be in the best place to try to help the team. So that's how I've been trying to cope.
And Barry, you alluded to it quite a bit, but what reactions have you both seen from your student athletes through all the challenges faced over the last months, and how have they made you proud in some ways?
Well, many ways, certainly in terms of, they've got into their houses, they have roommates. At this point, there's no one that's on campus that's a part of our team. They're living in apartments around the campus. So they're taking care of their business. There's 6 or 7 new freshmen here this year for us. So it's a pretty big class, one of our biggest classes in terms of freshmen and newcomers that have come to our team. So just trying to bring them in to the elders that have been here for sometimes even 3 years, going into their 4th year now, and seeing their confidence grow as freshmen that are just showing up here. I think is a big bonus for us. It's really unique because we have always been, for my 32 years here, playing in the fall. And here we are now actually having a time where we can get to know the players a little bit better and get to see who they are without having the pressure of, boy, we play this week and we've got to get going because the season's starting right away. We'll actually get a few months together, and I think they'll get to know each other better, become more comfortable, and it'll be interesting to see the dynamic if we get to the springtime and we do actually get to play. Hopefully there's going to be some practice time coming up in the near future as we start to iron out everything. And so yeah, a lot of unique ways to look at this new environment, and looking forward to see how this works out. It might be something to produce much more than we anticipated here.
Yeah, I'm really proud, particularly of our players when they're able to navigate through so many of the tough times and still persevere with their training, being resilient with that, being resilient with having moments of optimism, and that, I think staying together through all that. We've had a number of people who are really involved with changing and making social justice more fair and equal across the country, and that's been a big motivator for them during the summer. So it's been great to see them expand outside of just their realm as an athlete or student. And just, again, I think the perseverance to be able to be vulnerable, open, and continue to grow. So we're always proud of them, but especially proud of them in moments of adversity.
Obviously, your recruiting strategies have to be entirely different than anything you've done before. How are you finding that process?
Start, Steve, on this one. Tough one.
Yeah, well, that's been a big puzzle, obviously. We have created a virtual tour of the campus. So Kristen, our assistant, was able to put together some great clips of not just sort of game highlights, but views of the campus that she was able to get a hold of. And we made a virtual tour for recruits to be able to show them on the first day possible. Sam Rinkus from Sports Info also helped us develop a sort of recap of last year with some goal highlights, photo highlights, and sort of debriefs. We've been putting that out to people so they can see that. And then we've developed a self-guided tour in case people came to campus and we can't meet with them. They would have a way of seeing the campus and having some ideas about Georgetown and the city itself. So that's what we've been doing as far as that. And then a lot of FaceTiming to meet people and see how they are as people in person. But with no official visits possible, it's really challenging because you can't bring them around the team for good reason. So we're having to just be very flexible, and we'll wait and see what happens with the dead period with the NCAA coming up. But it's been a new challenge. I'm sure Barry can agree.
Yeah, recruiting has always been somewhat of I'm not the traditional for the recruiting. So I have had moments where I've gotten players that were still looking around in their senior years. And then there's been a few that have gotten there, I guess, early junior year. I've never really recruited. I know a lot of my competition, some of the coaches around the country have recruited players in 9th grade and got commitments already and those kind of things. Now they changed the rules. Now each year there's been some rule changes that you have to flow with. But I've been patient and continue to knock on a lot of doors and see which one's open. And usually, there's the junior class right now that a lot of people are looking at. You're trying to make some decisions on the juniors. With many of the juniors, they don't want to jump right in either right now, especially in the time of what we're going through right now. They want to be solid to know who's who, and it's very difficult to really get to know people just through video alone. Want to spend some FaceTime together more than just through a screen. So putting this all together takes a lot of breaks also. We found a 6'5" player the week COVID started. She's a senior this year. And her name's Katie Putney. She was playing in a tournament and was planning on going to a small school and wanted to be a pharmacist. And her parents were both very familiar. One of them lived by AAU growing up, and found out that we were still looking late And what do you know, a week later, she comes down to the campus on her own, looks around on her own with her family while they were at a tournament in Baltimore, and calls me the next week. And I love it. I want to be an American. So a lot of strange things happen with recruiting. That's just one little story in many, many that Steve has had, that I've had, that all the coaches that go through this have had. And it really comes down to, regardless of how big, how small, making sure that you can put a good team together, that people play with each other, like to be with each other, and ready to be competitive, because it's a competition world here in the sport world. So that's where we're hoping to get to, and we get a little bit more time to prepare for this. So all's good for this moment. Kids are healthy on the team, and trying to see if we can take the next steps now to get into a weight room mode pretty soon, potentially, if everybody stays healthy, and go from there.
Now, I want to touch on sort of personal challenges and hopefully some positives, but to start with, what are some of the most challenging things to you adjusting to a fall without sports for the first time in who knows how long?
Most challenging for me has been, I had so many things that I was doing every spring that was somewhat extracurricular at times, where we had a volleyball tournament we could be a part of, things like this. Going out recruiting most of the time was in the springtime. So the calendars have now changed and they flip-flop for us. And because of this, it's brought up an interesting dynamic of how is this going to move now into this spring session that's about to come up, where it's a lot of unknowns. And where are we now is simply been a time of just getting to know the new people with the old people that have been a part of our team and letting them spend a lot of time together. It's going to be interesting because I think they'll work together a little bit better now, knowing they've had time to prepare. And so really interesting to see the dynamic of how this works out, of what we have to do in the spring, what we get to do in the spring, and what we seem to, what it's going to take for us to get going here in this fall.
Yeah, for me, I think there's two things. One is, you're, as a coach, your job is to coach, and not only you're not getting to do games, you're not getting to do any training when you're used to that. Your body clock is used to that for decades now. So it's really hard to feel like you're doing your job when you're not able to do those elements of it, even though we've been working really, really hard. Every day we have a staff meeting, we're always meeting with the team. We're trying to take care of them the best we can, but that's a central part of your job. And then I think the other part is that I derive almost all my joy from being in the office and having the players stop by randomly without really any kind of worry about number of people that can be in a space or mass or any of those things. So we really haven't been able to have sort of personal contact since March with the team for the most part. And that's really hard for me because I'm attached to my players, their well-being, and enjoy those interactions where you're not talking about your sport, you're just talking about them as a person. So I think that's been a really hard thing to kind of navigate for me on a personal level.
And I think finally, really on a personal level, can you find some positives? Have there been positives? Do you see more coming for you in this time of a forced break from your normal routine?
In the last year, I have 4 grandkids, so that's certainly the big positive there. One of them is a big hit on the internet here on with my 2-year-old out in California. We went out to visit for a couple of days. Yeah, it's been super here. It's amazing that we were shocked being out there, visited both sets. One's in Boston and one's in California. We were there for a couple of days each, and it was amazing how I'm so used to being, getting ready for the classes and the school and making sure, everybody's ready to go. And now here we are. I'm actually spending a week with a 2-year-old reading a book to her, and and just had an 8-day-old up in Boston before we came back here. So we were able to squeeze those things in, which isn't always the case. And the timing's worked out perfectly, but it's been just such a winner. This place in particular here, it's, there's a lot of other schools around the world and the country certainly, and a lot of envy from people. I have no envy whatsoever with this. This thing has been really just, but certainly a nice test for our young ladies that are on our team, and for our coaches and our staff, and for all the people within the university here to try to handle this very well. I'm really honored to see what our upper echelon president's office and all the people that are leading the university itself. I think they're doing a fabulous job here. I mean, I'm watching other places around the country and how this school is doing this and this school is doing that. And there's some sacrifices for every one of us, but I think it's been wonderful to see the leadership here, and even in the athletic department, trying to put all this together. It's been a winner for me, so I'm honored with it.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I've been really enjoying having extra time with my partner and soulmate, Mary. We've been able to be around each other a lot more, working from home in 2 different office spaces, but having that shared time and being able to exercise with her. We go on long walks in the morning around dawn and then the evening, and we discovered incredible wildlife right here in the heart of the city. I found a family of owls that we tracked for a couple months, actually. I'm a big photography fan, so I've been able to try to practice getting better at my skills there, and following this family of owls was awesome. And for a number of years, I've really wanted to have something along the lines of a sabbatical without somehow missing time away from the team and training and games. And this time for me has been an incredible growth phase. I've been able to read so much, listen to so many different podcasts, have different ideas that I've kind of been brainstorming about, utilizing even the technology of Zoom in different ways, novel ways, trying to figure out how we can maximize and innovate. So I've really gotten a tremendous amount out of the reading I've been able to do, and that's been like classics, not just like coaching manuals, things like that. So it's been a great period of growth that I think is going to pay big dividends when we're able to be back in a more normal scenario.
Well, that seems like a very uplifting spot to end our show today. I want to thank both Barry and Steve for taking time to chat, and I wish you both the best of luck as we continue through the rest of the semester and into the spring. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Karen.
Thanks.